Ms. Jumoke Akindele there. What has happened to the 2017 budget in Ondo State? Because this crisis has brought to a halt the legislative activities in the state. How far has this impacted on governance in the state? Let's speak to the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Ondo State, Mr. Eni Akinshola, who joins us via telephone from Abuja. Many thanks, Mr. Akinshola, for joining us on the program tonight. Oh, I guess that we are unable to connect with him. Well, let's move on to some other issues now. We might be able to come back to that much later on the program. Since Mr. James Onanefe Ibori, a former Delta State governor, returned to the country, the issues about some of the cases hanging over the allegations of fraud and money laundering is still generating a lot of controversy. Mr. Ibori returned to the country last weekend amidst cheers from his kinsmen in Ogara, his hometown. And when he returned, some of his political associates are saying that they're happy to receive the man. But what about some of the EFCC case that was a major issue on the lips of analysts, legal and political analysts in the country before Mr. Ibori left the country for Dubai? From Dubai, he was taken to the United Kingdom, where he faced the money laundering trial, and he spent about 7 years in prison there. Well, let's get perspectives to this matter. A legal practitioner, Mr. Kaudi Ajulo, joins us now from Abuja studio. Many thanks, Mr. Ajulo, for joining us on the program. You have been part of this scenario from the moment the EFCC has been trying Mr. Ibori on these money laundering issue and allegations of fraud until Justice Awokulayin from the court in Asaba ruled in his favor, and another court ruled against Mr. Ibori in Benin City. Now that Mr. Ibori is back into the country, legally speaking, of course, what is the situation of things on the scenario playing out?
Well, thank you very much, Sheo. As it is today, one thing we have to know very well is that we need to bring ourselves back to what actually happened before Mr. Ibori left Nigeria. Not that he left Nigeria on his own volition, he ran out of the country. If you remember then, that was when EFCC, the Nigerian police, they were looking for him. This is the man that first ran to Escavos. From Escavos, he disappeared. And the whole nation were looking for him until he surfaced in Dubai and was picked up in Dubai. And as it is, actually, he pleaded guilty to some charges in United Kingdom. But what made him to run out of the country, it is not even the offense that is being tried in United Kingdom, in which he was sentenced. So as it is, that case still remains. Though I remember that you mentioned about 2 or 3 cases. But remember that the Lagos Federal High Court, in the case instituted by Allen Agbaka, asked that Ibori should be instituted. The one led by the Chief Ike Clerk, that's Delta Stakeholders and Political Forum. There is another one, which the matter is still going on, and which is even on appeal now. And if you remember very well, on the issue about the case of all those plethora of charges that was set aside by my Lord Justice Awokulayin that was on appeal, that matter is still on. As it is, we don't need to deceive ourselves. I know Ibori has been convicted in the United Kingdom. He has been jailed. He has served his sentence. But all the one that he was being punished upon is about money laundering in accordance with the United Kingdom law. Whereas he committed different matters of cases. Remember, there is this case about the shares in Econet, the shares in EcoBank. There is one about Webros, in which state funds were used, and many other cases. As it is, we have to be sincere, except maybe the government think otherwise. But it still has there are many cases that need to answer in Nigeria.
But there are talks. I mean, either true or not, we understand there are moves in the office of the Attorney General of the Federation about the cases on Mr. Ibori, and perhaps some of these cases will be reopened. For the case of that has to do with corruption and money laundering case, it seems so much that these cases are in multi-layers. For the EFCC, what do you think in the coming days? There is a case from the Benin court, appeal court, which is still hanging. How do you think government will reconcile all of these cases on this man? And is there a possibility of a presidential pardon? Because that's another talk that we hear.
Well, honestly, it is not within my purview or within my authority to talk about presidential pardon. But one thing we have to know is this. What happened in United Kingdom is so clear that, and is a pointer that Nigerian government must show that they are fighting this corruption. And if you remember very well, Ibori seemed to escape everything. And if we should allow today that he should be pardoned, then the question is this: what lies about our own authority, about our own institution to fight this corruption? And that is why, if you remember that time, I was in this studio when I discussed that it's like charities, we believe, supposed to begin at home. But for Ibori, charity begins abroad. And I believe since now that it's back, it is imperative for our government, particularly this government has shown so much, they make a lot of noise about fighting corruption, to ensure that, look, in our own climb, we fight this corruption. In our own climb, we are against it. So we can't just say that president pardon. I believe whosoever that canvass that, then that means that we are not even fighting this corruption. We just try to play lip service. Except they want to tell us that corruption, this law against corruption is on two faces. One for the rich and one for those who don't have. And I believe it do not a good word for us in this country if that is our practice.
Mr. Ajulo, if you look at some of the issues brought to the table, for example, Mr. Ibori pleaded guilty to some of these charges that he faced in the UK court. Some of these charges are linked with monies being transferred from Nigeria to the UK for properties laundered as linked in that case. As it stands now, could the judgment of the UK be used? Could it be relevant in any way if these cases are reopened, for example, in Nigeria?
No, it cannot. I know what you are trying to say is what we call double jeopardy, whether Ibori will suffer double jeopardy if he is being tried in Nigeria. But one thing is there is exception to this doctrine of double jeopardy. One is that if actually a court order for that trial. Another thing again is that if the particular of the case is different from the one he has been tried before. As it is, fortunately, I was in court throughout his trial in United Kingdom. I know the particular of the case. All this issue there is about laundering money in accordance to United Kingdom law. But like I've mentioned, there are a lot of plethorias, numerous, quite a lot of allegations, a lot of charges, a lot of offense committed. That's why I mentioned there's about one case about Wibros, that a lot of money was used to buy shares in to buy up Wibros, a company in Nigeria. There is another one on issue of Econet shares, so much about 4 billion. There's another one that changing shares belonging to Delta State, turning to private property, that one ongoing. Then on the issue of EcoBank too, it's another shares. All these are mentioned. None of it was mentioned in United Kingdom. So this.
All right, Mr. Ajulo, just for a moment, we'll take a moment, but when we return, we look at the future, politically speaking. Can Mr. Ibori be involved in major politics in Nigeria? But that's what we discuss when we return. Stay with us.
Our joy knows no bound. The man that left us long time ago is back again after he has been freed and certified fit and prepared to be hope. Today, we are joyful in receiving him, and the crowd you are seeing here, the enthusiasm that has been displayed here today, show that we missed him a lot. And this is the only way for us to appreciate